Welcome to Coffee Charge Conversations here at Real Global Productions. Today we are joined by one of my friends that I was privileged enough to meet during my university days, and his name is Muthusi Ndou. Muthusi, you were often referred to as Wolfie. That's the only name that I've really known you as. Where did that nickname come into play?
Morning, Mike. Thanks so much for having me on the podcast. I'm really flattered that you've invited me here. So super keen to chat to you. So yeah, dude, Wolfie, it's actually a funny story, dude. It's a nickname that I got when I was still in primary school. When I was in grade 6, like December time, grade 6. So I had this dream when I was like younger. I think we all go through that phase. I wanted to be a rapper. So badly, dude. I wanted to be a rapper. Used to write rhymes on the side. You know how it is. And then I grew out my hair like the whole of grade 6. And then grade 6 holidays, I got cornrows, dude. So I was like in my little Bow Wow era, I guess, if you could say. And so my dad would cut my hair every single term before I went back to school. So then in December, what literally happened was that I think he went away on like business or something like that. So that first week of school, he wasn't around. So I had to take my cornrows out, but I had a massive afro, dude. And normally my dad would cut my hair. There's no way I'm going to school with an afro, but he was away at this time. So I was like, hey, I get to get away with it. So I get to the first day of grade 7 and me with this afro and like obviously getting attention from everyone. What's up? What you doing? What's this going on? And then we literally in assembly and they dividing the school into classes, different classes now, like, in the beginning of the year. And the one teacher calls me out. She's like, hey, Muthusi, come here. What's this hairstyle that you got? And I was like, it's just my new look or whatever. And she's like, you know what? We're going to call you Wolfie from now on. That's your new name, Wolfie. I remember she said, you look like the guy from the Chicken Licken advert. I was like, what? Like, I literally didn't even get that reference. But anyways, so literally that whole week, everyone's literally like, Wolfie, you Wolfie. And like in school, the more you resist against like a name, the more it like catches on and sticks. So, it was not long before that was like my mixed name. And then, all your mates are calling you that and it ends up becoming a nickname. And then how it ended up like proliferating further was that I get to high school in grade 8. I'm literally in boarding school. And then they tell you, in initiation, you have to get a brick and a board. So there's this board that you have to have all the grade 8s, your name. And I remember they said, you have to write your nickname. Everyone has to write a nickname. I'm like, dude, I've never had a nickname in my entire life. So let me write Wolfie. So I get to grade 8, and all these guys are like, what? Wolf? All these Afrikaans guys, Wolf got a Wolfie. And then, then obviously it catches on even further, dude. So literally stuck around, so that's how you get a Wolfie.
That's crazy because for me, I actually wanted to be a rapper as well. So I used to listen to like a lot of Lil Wayne and stuff. All I Do Is Win was like my song, especially when like Ludacris came involved. I thought I was like similar to Ludacris, and a lot of people don't really know this about me, but actually in grade 6 I wanted to be like Riley from the Boondocks.
What?
And I got cornrows myself.
You also got cornrows in grade 6?
I got cornrows in grade 6.
No ways, Mike.
It took... So the normal place where like I went for my haircut, they didn't really have anyone that knew how to do cornrows. So I had to wait until about like 4 in the afternoon
for like a special lady.
This lady Norma
No
came. She was like the last person there, and she gave me
you got
cornrows. I was there for 2 hours. I didn't know it would take that long. It's flippin' sore.
Beauty comes at a price, Mike. But that's so cool. I have to see a photo of that. Like, that's giving me ideas. We need to drop a mixtape or something.
Oh, I did delete it. I actually wish I had it.
Really?
My mom took like 3 photos of me. We were like getting McDonald's or something. And then I remember as well, just when I like got them out, I had a full-on afro in the mirror. And it's so strange.
Your hair grows so quickly. Like, you don't actually see the growth, but... Yeah, like I was saying, I think everyone goes through that phase, dude. You just want to be a rapper, see 50 Cent music video come out. I don't know, dude. I don't know where it came from.
100%. Yeah.
But yeah, it's followed me my whole life, dude. So no regrets, dude. Very grateful for that. It's a big part of me, I guess. But yeah, no, Muthusi is also my name, so I'm also very happy for anyone to call me that.
And yeah, at the moment we'll see that name at the top of the ice bath leaderboard.
Yeah, sure, thanks.
Today I think you were what, 7 minutes and 4 seconds.
Dude, yeah, that's crazy.
Currently number one. It was probably about I think it was 2.5, maybe 3 degrees. Yeah, how was that experience for you?
It was super cool. I'm not gonna lie, ice bath. I've seen a lot of like social media posts, and it's obviously quite a big thing at the moment. The ice bath and ice plunge challenges and things like that. So I was really excited when you said we're gonna do that before the podcast. I hate the cold. If you look at me, dude, I've got literally like -% body fat. Like,
Yeah.
dude, I got no protection.
You were shaking the whole car ride, yeah.
Yeah.
I actually felt a bit bad, but that's what you got to do to be number one, I guess.
Yeah, unfortunately for me, I'm so competitive, dude. But it actually wasn't that bad. Like that first minute, your advice was really good. Like just saying, that first 2 minutes are going to be terrible, but just keep focusing on your breathing. And so that's literally what I was trying to do. As soon as I got into the water, it was honestly horrible. It was like so weird. I felt like ligaments that I didn't know I had in my legs, and they just started paining. But just try to stay in it, try to focus on my breathing. And then after like 2 minutes, it was literally like normal. And yeah, just try to break that record, I guess. Yeah, so I'm glad I ended up doing that. What, 7 minutes or 4?
Yeah.
So cool, dude. You must let me know when you go again. I'd love to get in that habit.
Awesome.
But yeah, no, I feel great now. I see the benefits, or at least feel the benefits slightly. So yeah, I really appreciate that.
And you currently an attorney at the moment.
Yeah.
But when we spoke earlier before today, you said that you never really pictured yourself as an attorney. Yeah, how did that journey start, and how did your mindset change?
Yeah, dude, it's actually quite funny, but yeah, I never thought I would be doing what I'm doing at the moment. Obviously, when you're young and you're deciding what you want to become one day, there's so many different things that you have to think about, and a lot of things that you don't know, and a lot of things that you have an idea of that you don't really have all the full information about. So obviously I was very pleasantly surprised now in the profession that I'm in, because I know, what I do, and I enjoy what I do now. But university, in first year I went and studied BCom business management. That's what I entered university doing.
Likewise.
Yeah, I remember you said you studied that as well.
Yeah.
But I did that for first year, and then I thought, okay, well, maybe let me go do BCom law, because I could still do business management, but maybe then include some law topics. And obviously I had a few friends also studying law, doing BCom law, so I thought, okay, maybe this would not be a bad career path. And then naturally after the BCom law, you go do your LLB. But all throughout my LLB, dude, I didn't think I'd be practicing as an attorney or anything in the legal industry. I just know obviously an LLB gives you a lot of different options, as I'm sure you're aware. The legal, everything in life has laws. The law is in everything that you do. So I knew doing an LLB would give me options after university. But I never mingled with the law students. It was very competitive. People putting their hands up with answers. I was just that guy, just do my work, go back. I was more social, and I enjoyed that aspect of university, but I never saw myself doing law, dude. And I got a very good opportunity actually during COVID. It's so funny, dude. I think the moral of the story is that, you make plans and then God just laughs, dude. That's at least how I see it. Because so 2020 I finished studying 2019. I get my LLB, and my idea for 2020 was that I'm going to go to China. I want to do something completely different. I wanted to go travel, see the world. I want to go somewhere where I go outside and like there's literally
nothing familiar.
Nothing familiar. I can't understand where I am. Just something new like that. And I've got two friends of mine, two of my very good friends. Shout out to the Gaylor twins. They're in China. They were in China, and there was an opportunity for me to then go move and start working there. Obviously, the teaching English route, and it is quite lucrative in terms of financial. And I guess you also have time to travel. China's a big country, and it's also close to other countries in Southeast Asia. So that's exactly what I was planning on doing. So I had my police clearance, all that stuff done. And I remember telling my parents, like, hey guys, when I get this degree, I'm out of here, dude. I'm going to China, gonna go see the world. And like most parents, they were just like, "Hey, dude," like they were a bit nervous. Like, what?
Yeah.
China? What are you talking about? There's no black people in China. What are you gonna do there, dude? It's like, yeah, I don't know. And then so yeah, all my documentation was getting sorted out. I had planned to leave somewhere around April, May 2020. And then, as we all know, that bat sandwich, someone ate a bat or someone did something, COVID happened, and the whole world shuts down. I hope it was worth it, but yeah, it's literally I'm sitting at home, stuck, had nothing to do. I got my degree, fortunately enough, but I literally felt so useless, dude. I was at home, twiddling my thumbs. I'd sold like my PlayStation, so at the time they're releasing new games on PlayStation to try to keep people at home. I'm literally reading books now, trying to look for things to do at home, and I thought, okay, let me just apply for this thing called law school. So for people who don't know, is when you get your law degree, you can go do your article straight away for 2 years, or you can go to what's called a legal practice school, where it's about 6 months school where they teach you the practical aspects of legal practice. So not just the substantive law, like say your law of contract or whatever, but now actually, if you were in a law firm, how are you going to do things? How are you going to file certain documents? So I thought, okay, let me just do this. It's 6 months. COVID's going to be done in August. Then I can go back to my dream of going to China. So I was like, okay, I have no distractions now. Let me just focus on this law school thing, and then I'll be gone. And then what ended up happening was that I just really just got so consumed with law school, because I mean, I'll be going to law school, coming back home. I mean, it's COVID, so I just said, let me focus on this thing. And when I go to China, my parents at least would be happy that at least I gave my all with the law school and I've given them what they wanted, I guess. So yeah, so but whilst I was at law school, I just got such a great opportunity. I met so many different legal professionals, and I obviously got better insights into what the legal industry is like. And one day I'm sitting at home and I get a phone call, and this lady says, "Hey, listen, I don't know if you remember me, but we met at legal practice school. I'm looking for a candidate attorney. Are you ready to start working?" And I remember saying, "No, actually, I want to go to China, dude. This is not for me. Thank you for the opportunity, but sorry, yeah, I've got other plans." But she said, "No, just come for an interview and let's take it from there." So I go for the interview and I see, wow, oh my goodness, this is a well-respected law firm. These people are looking for someone to start, and I could definitely tell that, this lady sees something in me. So, I went back home, had a discussion with my parents, and just, thought about it. I was like, there's people that were way better than me from university that are really struggling to get work. And here I am in an opportunity to go and do something about it. So I just said, okay, you know what? Let me go see what it is, try. And I just promised myself, if I'm going to do this, I'm going to go in. I'm going to try my best to, consume myself in it. And yeah, like they say, the rest is history, dude. Yeah, I stayed. I'm still at the same firm. I have absolutely no regrets. But yeah, it's funny how life works sometimes, yeah.
And is being a lawyer or an attorney, I always get confused between the two. Is that as glamorous and as exciting as it's portrayed in, TV shows and like your Suits? I mean, I've watched the whole of Suits. I love it. But, is it as glamorous and as exciting?
Well, I think it's also just like anything in life, dude. It's pretty much how you make it as well. Your experience of something will be obviously very personal. But like obviously the TV shows and the glamour of it all, there is a certain aspects of that, but there's a lot of behind the scenes that you don't see as well. And it's if you really want to go into an industry like the legal industry, you can't be scared of hard work. It's extremely hard work, sometimes for very little pay as well. I mean, sometimes you look at an attorney, you think, okay, this guy's sorted out, he's making a lot of money.
He's got the suit and tie.
He's got the suit and tie, and you'll find that, yeah, there are aspects where that can be the case, but it's over many, many years. You have to build yourself a reputation and gain a lot of experience. So, yeah, I'll say yes and no. You know what I mean? Like, I'm glad, I get to go into work, wear a suit every day. You get to, meet nice clients and you see cool buildings. But at the end of the day, there's an expectation as well. You know what I mean? You have to really put the hours in, learn a lot, fail a lot, ask a lot of questions. So, yeah, I personally really enjoyed the show Suits as well. I watched it when I was in high school, I think. But a lot of lawyers don't enjoy that show because it is a very TV-based kind of show. You know what I'm saying? Like, they just get the answers in like 10 minutes. You'll just look at a document and be like, Yeah,
see the
I
problem.
got the answer. Yeah, you know, like it's really not like that, dude. Like there's a lot of research, a lot of mistakes you're gonna make. But yeah, so I'll say yes and no. It is very cool and glamorous, and it is a profession like any other profession. You know what I mean? You take yourself seriously, and there's a standard that you have to maintain. But yeah, a lot of hard work, a lot of hours that people don't see. Yeah.
And now with quite a rapid growth in artificial intelligence, are you fearful that AI might replace lawyers one day?
That's a very good question. Thanks, Mike. But personally, I'm not too worried about AI in that sense. I think, you know, tools like AI and technology are there to assist us, obviously, and they do the work. They make the processes a bit shorter. But I think it's our job as legal practitioners or attorneys to be creative, you know, and use these things with us. Because I think, especially dealing with people, which what the law is, no two matters are exactly the same. Obviously, there'll be certain nuances. There'll always be certain nuances to certain matters, but technology will help us maybe improve our processes and speed things up. But in general, I think it's our job as lawyers to be creative and still show value, if that makes sense. So yeah, I'm actually very excited about what like AI has for us in the future. It's crazy how rapidly it's like taking off. You know what I mean? In the space of like 4 years, it's exponential. Actually, it's quite scary. But I see it more as an opportunity than an issue as a problem. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But obviously, I think there will be a lot of professionals that will maybe lose their jobs and things like that. But I think that'll be more towards stagnation. I think people will maybe, like I said, not be creative and move with the times and use the tools to assist you in your process. But yeah,
I think a lot of people are quite fearful
yeah,
about the whole AI concept.
yeah,
And I think once you work with it, I mean, I'm definitely not a boffin when it comes to AI,
yeah,
but you know, like when you work with it, it can actually enhance your skills and make you better, and it makes certain tasks easier. But I think a lot of people, including myself for a long time, hear the word AI and they like almost freeze.
yeah. No, exactly. It is definitely very scary, man. The things that these things can do, and it's only getting better and better. But how I see it, like it's gonna save so much more time. Like say if it took me a certain amount of time to do something, and now you can get an AI to do it, I can focus that exact same amount of time on improving something else within myself, if that makes sense. So I remember one of the guys we used to be with at varsity, our first year guy, Mr. Mchina, he always actually said once, there's two ways to see a issue or a problem. You can see it as a problem, or you can see it as an opportunity. So I definitely think there's so much room for opportunity, especially if you educate yourself with these new technologies and integrate them in your processes. So I'm super excited to see like what it holds in the future. Yeah.
And do you think, obviously, as a lawyer or as an attorney, it's quite professional, and I
Yeah.
think from an outside perspective, you see someone as like very prim and proper, and
Yeah.
they follow the rules. And do you think there's a time when it's necessary to break the rules?
Breaking the rules. Well, remember the law is a lot of the time an interpretation of the rules as well, and you'd find that over time the rules change with societal norms and what we deem acceptable. So 20 years ago, certain things that are prevalent today wouldn't fly, if that makes sense. And that's just a change in society. Things are always evaluated and thought of. So I do think rules are very important because they keep that line. But I do think that the moment people see a rule and says, okay, that's the rule, it should never be challenged or thought of. I think that's where there'll be a huge issue because as time goes on, society has different needs and people have different opinions and opinions develop. So yeah, I think as an attorney, it's very important. It's actually one of the requirements to become an attorney to be a fit and proper person. So you should always maintain a certain level of professionalism and morality, if that's the right word. But yeah, you shouldn't always be stuck to the rules, if that makes sense.
I
Yeah,
think
the rules should be challenged. Yeah,
Yeah, sometimes it's quite a common thing that they say you should break or like, test the boundaries, break the rules, but don't break the law.
Exactly.
And almost if you do live your life according to this rule book the whole time,
Yeah.
then you don't really get to experience, you don't get to learn.
Yeah.
But the law and like rules or whatever are very different things,
Exactly. And I think we should always be asking ourselves like the why behind everything. You know what I mean? So rules are there obviously for a reason. And in law, there's we have a lot of case law, which is pretty much situations in the past where certain issues were brought up and dealt with, and we use those to now adjudicate or judge rules, things that happen in the future. So yeah, dude, I think it's important to have rules, but it's always important to question the rules, to question why we have them, and if they're actually being used for their intended purpose, if that makes sense. So yeah, so as an attorney, I think it's always important to be dynamic, dude. You gotta always be willing to be like, okay, that's what it is today, but things can change so quickly. And yeah, always ask why. Like, why do we have that rule? What's the intention behind it? Or yeah, so that's at least my opinion. Yeah.
And in university, while you were studying,
Yeah.
you also did 2 years being as a radio presenter at TUKS
Yeah.
FM.
Dude, yeah.
That's very interesting. I mean, I don't know anyone else that,
Is it?
is actually been a presenter on radio. I
Yeah.
know a few people that have maybe been on radio once or twice, but
Yeah.
I think that's awesome. And to do it for 2 years, what inspired you to actually get started?
Dude, I was actually so lucky to get that opportunity. Funny story though, I'm gonna branch off a little bit, but I think that's actually where I met you, Mike. If you don't remember, I think we were at a TUKS FM like event, and DJ Cyan was one of the artists that was performing, and she'd always come with her friends, and I think you were along with one of them. So
Yeah.
we'd always be chilling, and that's I think how
Yeah, I
met Mr.
often went to her events and,
Yeah, dude. So it's quite how we've gone full circle. Now I'm on Mike's podcast. Quite cool, eh? But yeah, it was really cool to get that opportunity to be on TUKS FM. Wow, like what an amazing establishment that they've created for themselves. So what actually happened was I was at Res, and we had a Res meeting, and these TUKS FM representatives just came, I think, to promote presenter search, and they had to nominate like a person from the Res or 3 people from the Res to go and audition. And I didn't put my hand up, but I think because I'm always just talking rubbish, at university. I was just known as that guy, just always has jokes or always willing to have a chat, which has gotten me in trouble sometimes. But they all just nominated to put my name in the hat. They all just said, "Hey, Wolf, you gotta go try to do that." So yeah, I couldn't let the boys down. Then I just went for an interview one day or an audition, quote unquote. It was more just a conversation, to be honest, with the managers of the station. And I just thought, okay, why not? Like it's a new aspect, something that I always kind of enjoyed. My dad, funny enough, was actually also a radio presenter in his university days. I think he was a DJ or something like that. So I always remember that story. I was like, hey, that'd be cool if I told my dad I'd do something like that as well. But yeah, for me, I just did it for fun. Like I just went and enjoyed it. A lot of the people at the station at TUKS FM were so, dedicated, and they were really professional about it. And I was really impressed. And the proof is in the pudding. A lot of them now are on your major radio stations, and it's not a coincidence they win all the awards. So I was super grateful just to be around those kind of people. But no, I wasn't lying to myself. I wasn't trying to be a presenter in the future. I just did it for enjoyment and just something out of my comfort zone. Yeah.
But also being around that professional environment probably also helped you in a work sense and your career trajectory. What did like your average day look like at TUKS FM?
At TUKS FM, oh, it was so cool, dude. So obviously you start. I was in the presenter department, so those are the guys that actually speak on air and stuff. And you start. I can't remember what they called it, but it's just kind of like a trainee. So you just shadow all the presenters that were there, and then you first had to learn how to control the decks. And there's this in the room, in the studio, there's just all these buttons, just different color buttons. It's actually so intimidating, and like screens at the front, and you actually have no idea what's going on. And for like 2 weeks, maybe even a month, you sit and you shadow the other presenters, and you also just do like lessons on this thing, switching on the mic, switching the songs, just how to control the whole thing. Because how it would actually be is just you in the booth, and you got to control this whole thing going on. Unless obviously you win like the drive show or the breakfast show, you got like co-hosts and stuff like that. So yeah, you start like with a graveyard shift. It was so funny. You start at like 3 in the morning to 5 a.m. That's the slot you get. 1 to 3, 3 to 5. So cool though, because you build up confidence. You don't actually think anyone's listening, but you get shocks. People actually call in. People are listening. But yeah, that's how it began. And then just creating your own content, trying to think about what you're gonna say. I think it's very easy to think like, yeah, if I had a radio show, I'd say what I want to say. Yeah, but now you actually, the lights are shining. Now you gotta talk, and it's live.
Yeah.
Remember, it's live now. So the one thing they hated, I remember, was dead air. So like, if say it's your time to talk, you have a certain window in which you can then say whatever you need to say, and then you have to go to the next song and whatever. So you had to literally prepare and structure your show. It's so funny, dude. I used to get like my friends to just send me like voice notes beforehand to tell me what I'm doing. Sorry if I'm giving away like secrets now, but like I would like say, hey Mike, send me a voice note about 1, 2, 3. Then on the show I'd be like, hey, yeah, the WhatsApp line is going crazy right now. Meanwhile, like there's like it's empty, bro. Like no one's calling.
It's like 3 in the morning.
And then I'll play Mike's voice and I'll be like, oh, nice. Who's this? This is Jonathan. And yeah, I know it's Mike, but I'll just like fake it, So it was cool because you could just make your own show, you know what I mean? And before you know it, bro, like real people are actually calling in, and you're like, what the hell?
Is it mostly students that call and that listen to the show?
Yeah, so I think TUKS FM operates in that like Pretoria area, but I think there are areas in Joburg where you could actually even listen to it. You could obviously now listen to it online as well. Like you can go onto the website and listen to it. So I honestly underestimated like the amount of people that listen, because you get so used to just chatting rubbish, quote unquote rubbish, but I just having banter. But you just get so used to talking in a room, similar like how we are now, just me talking to Mike, and you forget that there's actually people listening outside. So I'd literally be talking about something, and then I'd go out the next day, and they'll be like, "Oh, you Muthusi, you the one talking about 1, 2, 3." I'd be like, "What? You were actually listening to that? Like, oh my goodness! Like, I need
yeah."
Because
you're so almost like you're so present in that moment that you're actually just focusing on the conversation. I'm sure that you had some very interesting conversations on that show. Dude, which one stands out for you the most?
Dude, I actually have a very funny story. I actually think about it now as soon as you're telling me. I remember I got a message once from the station director, and he's like, "Listen, we got to do an interview with X, Y, and Z. Who's keen to do an interview?" And no one was available. So I was like, "I'm keen. I've never done an interview before. I've only just done my own show." But mind you, it's like a kind of a pre-screen interview, so it's not anything hectic. Like I think it was a brand maybe we were trying to push or something like that. And I said, "Yeah, I'll do it." But it was at the same time I had a lecture. I think it was like a law of securities or something like that. I had a lecture and a back-to-back lecture. So my thinking was that, okay, I'll go to the first hour of the lecture and then I would just leave at the second half, then to go do my interview. But now, because usually at the end of the first hour, the lecturer gives you like 5 minutes, 10 minutes just to catch a breath or whatever. So I was just going to leave and go do the interview. But this guy just keeps talking for an hour. He keeps going. There's no opportunity to take a break. So I'm like, bro, I'm thinking, the time is going now. I need to be at the station.
Yeah.
So I was like, no, I got to get going. So I stand up and I leave. And the lecturer stops me. He's like, hey, where you going? I was like, I just had to come up with a story, dude. And just like, I can't remember what I told him. I was like, I got an interview, sorry. And I just ran and went out. And I did the interview though. But yeah, it was just a funny experience that I had at varsity during those days. But it was a really great experience. I'm so grateful for that, dude. I met such cool people. I always thought I was an extroverted guy, but literally just meeting people at the station. Like we've been in a room full of all the presenters and people are just so authentically themselves. And like, I was even intimidated. I was like, damn, like I'm an extrovert, but I was like a bit taken aback. Like people are just completely themselves, just out there. So it did give me a lot of confidence just to, be myself and just take it as it came. You know what I mean?
And it's hard to do that sometimes.
It is.
I often catch myself maybe at work or whatever, you're in a meeting and you make it so, we were sort of talking about this in the car, but like you make it so serious in your head that the person that you portray is not necessarily authentic because you're trying to adapt to that professional environment or whatever, and you actually don't give your full self.
100%, dude, 100%. I think, obviously, I think most people do have the intention of just being authentically themselves, but there's always that pressure, dude. Like people are watching, how am I going to be perceived? So yeah, being in an environment like that on the radio station, I did get a chance to at least think about who I was and what angle I was going to bring in, try to be myself, quote unquote. But you also got to just forgive yourself sometimes. You know, you're a human being, and everyone does want to be liked, I guess, and everyone does want to portray the best version of themselves. You know what I mean? So yeah, it's something you have to learn, and I'm glad that it is definitely in a professional world now. When I go to work, I think I do see the value of just being yourself, because you know there's no one else that's going to be like you. You know what I mean? And there's going to be something that you can see, or an angle that you could, you know, a perspective that maybe you have that someone else won't have. You know what I mean? So I think it's by being yourself, I think you do get to like explore those different, you know, angles and options. So yeah, dude, I do think, I do believe that being yourself, trying to be authentically yourself is very important. But obviously it is easier said than done. You know what I'm saying? It is something that you can always work towards and improve at. At least that's what I'm trying to always do. Yeah.
And during a case, do you try give off that, well, not give off, but do you know, try be as authentic as
Yeah.
possible? Does that help?
Definitely. I think the more comfortable, not only your client, but even say you dealing with other attorneys, dude. I think just I try my best to just be as honest as I can and know my limits. You know, I know I'm a junior attorney. I know there's certain things that I know very well, but I do know as well there's certain things that I've never done before as well. So, in as much as I am a professional and I want to try to get the best for my clients, I think it's always best to try to be as honest as you can, even with the clients, because I think that that human element is so important. Where people feel like they can't relate, I think that's when I think there's a variance in ideas and mindset. But I think when you connect, when you try to connect with someone, and just by being as authentically yourself, you know what I'm saying, just opening up to yourself and just letting them know who you are. So I really do think that is very important. But at the same time as well, I also have to remember when you're working on a matter, for example, and you have a client, a lot of the time it really isn't about you. You know what I mean? So like say I have to go to court. I remember being a candidate attorney, having to go to court, to magic court and appear before a magistrate. Never done it before. I'm nervous, very nervous. Been practicing in the mirror maybe beforehand. But at the end of the day, you realize like, listen, these people have come to you and they're trusting you to help them with an issue that they have, a very personal maybe issue that they have. So it really isn't actually about you. So try to put yourself in the back seats and just use your experience and use what you've learned to just help them out. And then maybe afterwards you can then reflect on how you did or how maybe you were doing. But in that moment, I personally just try and remove myself from the situation, because it really isn't about me. Yeah.
Yeah, you've almost sometimes got to see it like as an outsider, as a,
Yeah.
you know, like a third person,
Yeah.
rather than how it's going to benefit you to win this case or whatever. You really, I think that's where empathy comes
Exactly.
in.
I
Where
was
you
about to say
really
that.
got to put yourself in that person's shoes. And I'm sure that's something that you definitely learned on radio as well.
Yeah.
And being a radio presenter, you obviously most of the time have really decent communication skills. What advice would you give to someone who maybe wants to improve on their communication skills?
Sure. Yeah, communication is actually so important. Not only when in that space I was in at radio, but now in the job that I'm dealing with now, that is 9/10 maybe of the entire job, you know, communicating. And because sometimes you'll find, sorry, I'll get to the question now, but I'll say sometimes you'll find that people are in disputes with one another, and it could be a break in communication of why there's a dispute. So, you know, mediating certain situations through communication is so important. So I would say like just complete honesty, dude. Like if say Mike comes to me and he's got a legal issue, instead of
I will come to you, by the way.
Is it? You
Yeah.
will come to me. Hey, Mike, you better start saving up. I'm just joking. But no, but like honestly, if maybe there's you tell me you got a situation going on, and being honest with you and saying, listen, hey Mike, maybe give me clarity on this aspect of your situation, or Mike, I don't actually fully know about this area of law. I have an idea, but let me go back and actually just go and research that, and maybe go and draw it from the experience of maybe my superiors or things like that. So I would say just being honest where you lack in communication. So a lot of the time, especially in my field, maybe people want to be portrayed as knowing a lot or having it all
Mm.
together. But I think it helps so much to just be like, hey, listen, I have no idea what I'm doing. Can you please help me? Because then the next time when that same situation arises, I can then remember, oh yeah, remember Mike came to me with that same situation. So I think that maybe is what experience is, eh?
I really like that perspective,
Is it? Yeah.
because for me, as someone who hasn't studied law,
Yeah.
and I think some people can relate, like you would see someone come into a lecture
Yeah.
and they're always the one asking questions, always. They're the first person to put their hand up, and they know the answer anyways. They're just trying to show how smart they are. They come
Yeah.
with their suit and tie to a lecture
Yeah.
with a briefcase, like they're going to a court case, and like you almost sense this energy of like, I'm better than you kind of thing. And I think it's really like, it's a fresh perspective, and it's nice to see the way that you go about, law.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, dude. And I think obviously everyone's going through their own journey. Like I said to you, when I was in varsity, I was never one of those guys that constantly put my hand up to ask a question or even answer a question. I was there obviously to learn and study. But now when I went to law school, I obviously had nothing else going on at the time because it was COVID and had no other distractions, which I think I was so, in hindsight, I was so lucky about that. I had nothing else to focus on. So I think I turned into one of those guys because I would always just ask questions, get more clarity on certain things. And you find that it's not really about anyone else. It's more about trying to improve yourself. So I have no problem with if people maybe say university students used to go to lectures in a suit and tie. Maybe this guy really enjoys this thing, or maybe that's what he
yeah,
wants to do. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, I try my best not to
and
think
also
about
it's
that kind of
not
stuff.
to
Yeah,
judge a book by its cover as
exactly,
well.
exactly.
Yeah.
So try not to judge a book by its cover. Yeah, you don't know maybe what ambitions that guy has, maybe, or the reasons for doing them. So I think just focusing on yourself, dude, and trying to be as honest as you can about your own intentions, if that makes sense.
And what stopped you from pursuing a career in the radio side?
I don't know. I remember being at TUKS FM and thinking to myself like, hey, well, why don't I actually try to do this seriously? But I just remember, dude, I was really, LLB degree is not a very easy degree to get. You have to put a lot of dedication and hard work. I think it's one of the most failed courses at university. I stand to be corrected. But yeah, I just thought, I'm working so hard towards this degree. I don't want to study this degree for nothing, if that makes sense. Although I didn't want to be an attorney, I still wanted to get the degree and use it somehow, if that makes sense. So, and never say never. Like, you never know what's going to happen in the future. Who knows? Maybe one day an opportunity comes and I can do something like that again. Or, you know, I'd like to think of myself as someone who I like to relate to a lot of people. I think I've had a very unique kind of like life. So, and like you said, empathy. I think I consider myself an empath. So I enjoy these kind of conversations, like you and I, we spoke at length even before the show. So yeah, dude, who knows? The future, no one can say what's going to happen in the future. But at the moment now, I'm very happy with the career path that I chose. It is quite hectic. There's a lot of pressure, but there's a lot of growth as well, and it's challenging. So yeah, I think that's where I'm gonna focus my attention on. Yeah.
And moving into a career path is quite difficult after university. It's almost a complete different mindset shift.
Completely, yeah.
And I just feel like a lot of people don't really talk about it. Why do you think most people our age or people coming out of varsity don't talk about the struggles that they face after university?
Yeah, it's such a weird like time of our lives, eh? I think especially weird for kind of our generation because I think we've obviously similar in the age groups. But when we left varsity or around the time when we were leaving varsity, that's when the whole pandemic thing was happening. But I think in general, dude, like as soon as people graduate and they go out into the world and do whatever they want to do, especially also in your 20s, like there's such a varying degree of outcomes from different people. So certain people go and they get work straight away after school and things start happening for them really quickly. And other people take maybe a couple of years to still figure out what they're doing and, just honestly just try and move on with their lives. So it can be very difficult, I think, because no one actually knows what's going on. Everyone's kind of just following their own path. So I
Yeah.
think it's easy to stay quiet. Like,
But almost everyone like acts like they've got it all together.
yeah, yeah. I think it's easier, especially now also with the social media age, dude. It's so easy to take a photo and then for the external, for everyone else out there, outside looking in, they see Mike, oh my gosh, you've got it all figured out, you're doing everything. But meanwhile, you quite lost and don't know what's going
Yeah.
on. So I think that also adds to the confusion. But I think it's important to know, like, everyone is obviously on their own journey, and certain people will reach certain places a lot quicker, and I think that exacerbates in your 20s. You know what I mean? So I know guys. At least for me, example, I got very lucky that I started working almost immediately or within a year after graduating, and I've still been working. But there's other guys that maybe only started working like 3 years late, 3 years afterwards, but they on their own path, and they maybe needed to overcome certain things or do certain things. So yes, it's so tough, especially in our day and age. But I think it's important just to know what you want to do and just trust yourself and just keep on your process, if that makes sense. As long as you have an idea of what you want to go do and you're actually taking active steps to do it.
So what advice would you give to recent graduates who haven't worked in a corporate job
Yeah.
or something like that, who are entering the workforce?
I would say just use the resources that are available to you. You know what I mean? Like, if you were to say like 20 years ago, it was probably very linear in the sense that like you do your CV, you go look for jobs. But in today's day and age, dude, I mean, with the technological age, you can literally learn so much for free online. There's so many people out there you can connect with that you otherwise would never have had an opportunity to meet or discuss. So I would say just be proactive. So if you know you're in your final year now, don't wait till next year to make a decision. And I think I got very lucky because of COVID that I had time to actually sit down, and everyone was obviously stuck at home, but I had time to sit down and think, okay, what do I actually want to do? Even though I knew I wanted to go to China, but that was just an idea. I don't know. So I think being proactive, just saying, okay, I'm graduating at the end of this year, even if things don't actually work out, at least you have a general direction to look at and work towards. And I also feel that people don't really have people to ask questions about. Like, you're graduating and stuff, but there's not really anyone you can say, hey, well, how did you do this? Or where did you go after school?
Yeah.
And there's not really many like resources to like these kind of podcasts to hear people's stories. So I would definitely say just being proactive and making a decision on what you want out of life, and just really going and trying to do it.
And I
Yeah.
think once you're out of varsity, people often they look back at it and they say, "Oh, the good old days,"
Yeah.
like life's just a constant tough battle from now on.
Yeah.
But there's also, I don't think that's a great way to look at it,
Yeah, I agree.
because life's so short, and if I had to go back, I wouldn't do things exactly the same,
Yeah.
because my mindset's evolved and
Yes.
and matured a little bit, and I think that's pretty much with everyone.
Yeah.
But looking back at university,
Yeah.
what do you cherish most about your time as a
At
student?
varsity. Dude, that was like the best 5 years, one of the best 5 years of my entire life, honestly.
One of the best 5 years.
Yeah, one of the best 5 years. Does that make sense? Yeah, like it was
Yes,
a
it
great, it was a
does.
great 5 years, but obviously, I think I've just been so lucky in life, dude. Honestly, in everything, I had a really nice experience growing up. But I think it's also just perspective. I mean, if I really wanted to focus on maybe the bad things that happen in life, which happens to everyone, I could as well. But yeah, varsity itself, I had a great time. I wasn't fully an academic, I wouldn't say, but when it was time to study, I really did sit down and do work. I think it's always best to remember why you're there. You know what I'm saying? So I'm glad that I had good friends around me that were focused in terms of our degrees and things like that. But socially, it was amazing, man. Like every year, just so many parties and like so many people that you've met. I've made so many friends. So I really cherish just the social aspect of it. I think I learned more. Maybe it's a controversial thing to say, but I think I learned more just about life and myself in university than I did actually on my degree. So obviously you learn so much in your degree. There's so many books and content to do and tests and things like that. But just on yourself, dude, I don't know if you remember these times where like there's a huge party happening, everyone's going to be there, but then you got like a huge test. And I've had the best of both worlds. I've had times where I was like, oh, I'm gonna go to the party. Then you go out, and then you flunk that test, or you do so badly,
Yeah.
and then you put pressure on yourself. So like all those experiences, I think, was so important because now where I'm at in my life now, I'm glad that I had that then when I was young, because now I can really just focus on, my career and just where I'm at the moment. So I have no regrets in that sense. Yeah, so I feel very grateful that I had that kind of experience and I met the people that I met. Yeah.
I mean, for me as well, I think university those were some of the best days.
Do you remember Lentida? That was like my
Which
birthday.
one?
Yeah, which one?
Yeah.
Dude, I remember like I don't know about you, but like the night before your birthday, I can't sleep. I can't sleep tonight because I'm so excited. It's my birthday tomorrow.
Yeah.
It was like that for Lentida for me, like every
But
year.
on a greater scale, because
Yeah.
almost everyone. You just make so many friends
Yeah.
in varsity. But
Exactly.
I think it must have been quite a shift for you going from, almost that free-spirited, casual,
Yeah, so casual.
like, you can wear this to your lectures with slops
actually
to do in
nice.
Pretoria.
Yeah. This is actually just nice for this. Yeah.
Your swimming trunks, like no one cares. That's just like the mentality. And then going from that into law, and it's like suit and tie, it's very routine, very structured. Yeah, how did you actually adjust to that?
Yeah, like I remember when I was younger, I always told my mom, like, Mom, when I grow up, I want to like wear a suit every day to work. So I'm very like glad that at least I do get to wear a suit. Like I really enjoy that aspect of it, like the formal attire. And obviously as an attorney, I think the more you know, the better, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Like if I could go back, I remember you writing an exam and the lecturer says, okay, skip that page. It's not going to be in the exam. So you'd obviously just skip that page. But going back now, I think just read that page because just even if it's not going to be tested, just
It's
knowing
still
that,
knowledge.
just having that knowledge, exactly, because it's going to come up. It's going to come up one day in the future. So that transition from university to like professional for me was very drastic, but I was ready for it, I think. And it's something that I think I always wanted, And like I said, as an attorney, your English, maybe the better you can articulate yourself, the better, the smarter you look. It definitely helps your brand. Like no one's gonna go to an attorney who's not, if you're not dressed for the part. You know what I mean? You gotta play the parts. And it's funny. I always used to say, like, my mom has a funny story. She used to say that when she was when she started working, they would always say to her like, "Are you a doctor or are you pretending to be a doctor?" So I always ask myself the same thing, dude. Like if I was even as a candidate attorney, I'd get there. I had a huge imposter syndrome, bro. Like I'd get to work. I'd be like, look at all these like freaking impressive people around me. I'm like, bro, do these guys know who I am? Like, should I actually be here? But I'd be like, okay, I'm here now. Let me just try and be that guy, bro. You know what I'm saying?
Wow,
And
completely.
then over time, you realize that, hey, I can still be who I am, but I'm also I am that guy. If that makes sense. Yeah.
And it's difficult. I mean, I think everyone goes through imposter syndrome, and there's always going to be something new that you haven't faced or done before. And, you get an opportunity, and often I've felt like instead of just saying yes straight away and going for it, I go, do I really belong? Like, do they really know who I am? Like,
Exactly,
maybe I'm a bit more shy and I came off super confident and... and you overthink it.
That's exactly what I thought, dude. The first 2 years of my job, I remember every single day, I was waiting for them to just call me into the office and say, "Hey, pack your stuff, bro. We found out who you are. Pack your shit. Cheers."
Wow.
And I'll be like, "Cheers, thanks, guys. Thanks for the 2 months. I appreciate it."
Sorry, you got to know the real me.
Yeah, dude. I was ready for them to just be like, "Cheers, bro. Like we know now. Okay, thanks." But it's so funny. But then over time that does go away. But yeah, like you do get that imposter syndrome, bro. And I think, but from the outside looking in, you look at a place and you're like, whoa, this place is amazing, and it's so overwhelming, and you're like, dude, do they really want to have me there? But then you spend time in there and you actually start to like learn the things, and you start formulating your own opinions on the stuff that they're doing, and you realize like, man, I can actually do this stuff as well. Like this guy's been here maybe 20 years and he knows a lot, but I can add value here. I'd be like, hey, why don't we actually try that? And then you realize, okay, it's actually it's a facade, if it makes sense. Yeah, like I said, it's all about just the effort you put in, dude. It's not rocket science. Like I honestly truly believe anyone can do what I'm doing. It's not Oftentimes I think people be like, oh shucks, a doctor, oh shucks, an accountant. It's amazing, and it is amazing because it takes a lot of dedication and hard work. But I think if any single person applies themselves, they could definitely do the same thing and then add value as well. You know what I mean? So yeah, that's, I think, was one of the biggest shocks. Just that belief in yourself, just knowing that, hey, I actually can do this thing. And yeah, so it was quite an eye-opening thing. And I'm glad that at least that imposter syndrome has kind of gone away a little bit. But I think the more you do bigger things, the bigger projects you go on to do, it still comes back because you're like, shucks, you move on, because now I'm like, okay, I'm so comfortable with what I was doing before, and now they want me to do that. Do they know that I don't know anything about this?
Yeah.
You know? So yeah, dude, it was a great learning experience, I think. Yeah.
And in closing, what is one law that you wish everyone would live by?
One law that I wish everyone would live by. I think one thing that I am trying to implement in my life, like this whole year, I wouldn't call it a law in the sense of like the legal industry, but one of the biggest things I think I want to try implement in my life, and I think it's going to actually be such a liberating thing, is just living with complete honesty, dude. Just honesty. I think it's so easy to walk through life like with a mask, you know what I mean? So
ego.
Yeah, for the longest time, I would look at life the way I wanted to see it and not the way that it actually was, if that makes sense. And I think that does eventually bring some friction, because then there's going to be things that conflict to the narrative that you're trying to like see. But I think if you try to live life completely honesty, the good and the bad, if that makes sense, I think that definitely is good. And I think in the short term, it'll bring a lot of hurt, because I think maybe that's the growing process. But in the long term, I think you introduce the people that are meant to be in your life, and you weed out the false things in your life, you know? So that's definitely something that I'm working towards still, just trying to be as honest as I can, just with myself and just how I am in life, you know what I mean? So obviously being on this podcast is not to say that I've got everything figured out and anywhere near to where I want to be, but I know that at least I'm honestly trying to pursue that and just being as genuine as I can. And I know that this could be as good as it could ever be, if that makes sense, and being content with that. But obviously still working towards your goals every single day and just being honest with yourself. Like, am I genuinely trying my best? Am I genuinely doing this for the right reasons? You know what I mean?
I absolutely love that answer.
Really, yeah.
And that's how I want to live my life as well. You know, authentically, honestly.
100%.
And throughout this conversation, you've been completely yourself.
Sure,
and,
thanks, Michael.
Yeah, I've gotten to know you even on a deeper level, and I've really enjoyed it. You championed the ice bath this morning. And
thanks,
and shout out to Real Global Productions for, you know, another episode.
Cheers to the team. I appreciate you guys.
And thanks. I really enjoyed this conversation, and all the best going forward, Muthusi.
Thanks for having me on, Mike. Please don't forget me when you're the next Joe Rogan, bro. But appreciate that you invited me here, dude. I really enjoyed it. I can't believe it's over. Yeah. Okay.
Thanks.